Top 5 reasons ESPN being the hub for streaming is a good idea. Somebody's going to have to do this. I'm surprised. I'm surprised that someone hasn't maybe beaten in the market with just a service you can sign up for that puts them all in the same thing. Like how has somebody
they use that
come out
term
with this
TV
app?
guide in that article. Like that's old school.
Yeah.
Like you had it in your hand. It came in the mail. Your TV guide. It had all the listings. It was
or
pretty,
the
pretty
guide on your satellite.
That gets complicated because there's 5,000 channels.
Yeah, absolutely. Number 5, ease of use. That's been the biggest issue with streaming from what I can tell. And look, not only for people in Smokey's age bracket, I think just people in general, that just kind of the annoyance of, look, Dr. Pepper had a commercial about putting the password into the streaming in enough time to make the kickoff, right? All that stuff is complicated. It's a lot. It's another step as opposed to what channel's it on? 38. Okay, put it on channel 38, and then you roll. That's not what it is. This would at least provide an ease of use factor that has not been there for streaming for the most part. And, I can just tell you that anytime that anybody over the age of 68 in my family is trying to find a game on ESPN Plus, I'm getting at least a text. At least a text.
Yeah, I don't think, though, I don't know how much different or easier it's going to be than what's already out there, like Netflix's guide or anything like that anyways. Like when I pop on my Roku and there's this hub of all these different streaming channels, how is that going to be really all that different? It's going to be the same thing. I think the ease of use is just, I know I can go to one single place, and that place will tell me where this game is. That game might be on Peacock. That game might be on Amazon. And all this, like, I don't know about Amazon and Apple and all these teaming ups. Like, I don't know that that's as simple as it sounds, but
that was one of the things.
Yeah,
this still.
There's some questions here, but like just the fact that you could go there and basically, like, if I just try to watch Michigan football, I know where to go and it's going to lead me there rather than having to search through. And maybe that's not the best example, but I think you understand. Yeah, that would be nice to not. Is it ESPN Plus game? It's all just in one spot? That would be great.
Well, and look, if I can scroll over to it and then click it and then it takes me to that app without me having to go out and all that, that's to me what would be the benefit to this. It's like cable, but it's streaming there. Number 4, will lead to more downloads for ESPN Plus because people will be like, well, if they haven't done it yet, they're going to do it, which is going to be a big thing for them is to, and while it's not just, like you said earlier, Craig, it's not all just about subscriptions because a lot of these streaming services have done subscriptions. They also need to balance out their cost effectiveness. Well, you can't get even to that subscription part unless people are downloading it and have a reason to. If they become the hub, and they're talking about the hub of all sports streaming. So even the NFL, Major League Baseball, RSWs, if they become that, then the ESPN app becomes absolutely essential for every sports fan of every sport. Yeah. So that's why, that's what's in it for them is, look, we'll happily send out, people to your, Wednesday night Major League Baseball game that's on an RSN. But, the easiest way people are going to do it is to come by and see our logo before that happens.
Man, the more I think about this, the more this is like if ESPN could pull this off, like what a coup, because they stand to lose like absolutely nothing and gain everything. Because if you are going to watch Big Ten football on Peacock, you're going to an ESPN app to go then watch the Peacock app. So if you're asking somebody, where'd you watch that? Are they going to say Peacock or are they going to say, the ESPN app? So if you're Peacock and you're paying all this money for Big Ten football or NBC Universal, wouldn't that rub you a little bit the wrong way? That you're not really known as the Big Ten home because everybody just thinks it's on ESPN because that's how most people are viewing it. Like that's one element of this that I would be a little wary of.
They still get the money, but you're right. They don't get the credit or the almost like the source.
And that's something they're gonna have to deal with. And think about like if you've ever like switched streaming devices. Say you had a Roku and you bought a Fire Stick, and then some of the apps that were on the Roku aren't necessarily on the Fire Stick right away. It's because these gigantic corporations are in a measuring contest with each other about who should get this and that and why we should send people away from our hub to do something. So it's all a weird ecosystem anyway. Number 3, connectivity is the best way to mirror cable. So if you are trying to connect everything together, the way to convince people to, step away from cable or to come and watch something on streaming, which would be great news for the Pac-12 if they have a majority streaming deal, is if you have interconnectivity among, a media partner with other media partners, then people go, okay, well, I'll just get the ESPN app and I'll see where it goes from there.
Connectivity is a cool word.
Yeah, it is. But if you do that, then it's the best way to say, well, see, it's not really that different. At least with sports, it's not that different. You can come to the ESPN super hub of all sports and find everything you want no matter what it is.
Yeah, it's almost like it's just trying to become cable.
That's all.
So we did all of this for what exactly? Just everybody to make some big bucks streaming initially and make their movies out of their own production studio and then decide like, oh, wow, we're just burning money and let's go back to the way it was, but just call it and spin it as something different basically.
Yeah. No, I think it's funny because everybody wanted to make their own content, and then what somehow the studio execs forgot is that actors and directors and producers and creatives, if you're just going to say, hey, please come in the door and give us an idea, the bigger name you get attached to it, the more money you're going to throw at something. So I'll just use George Clooney did Catch 22 at Hulu. It was really good. But when George Clooney walks in the door and says, I hear you need some spots to fill, I'd like to do Catch 22, instead of people maybe initially going like, well, maybe we should do that as a feature or like do the old school way, they're like, George Clooney's here? Money. Here you go. George, there's a big Brinks truck outside. Take it to your house. And that's what's going to happen there. Let's see. Number 2, time spent watching on the app will go up for ESPN, even with people leaving in certain spots to go to other games, because they'll be the one that you land on. And time spent watching is what's going to help raise their ad revenue, because then they can say like, look, we are kicking Peacock's butt when it comes to how many minutes people watch through commercials here. And that is a huge deal.
So if you're Peacock, what benefit do you have to having this?
Exactly.
It doesn't make any sense.
You're just trying to get people to find your stuff, and it's simple. And ESPN might be oversimplifying or overcomplicating the issue, or saying like, look, this is the problem. People don't like streaming because they got to exit out and this and that and the other thing. We're going to put your app native in our thing, and people will click on it and go, boom, there's Notre Dame and Pitt right there. Boom, you got it. And that sounds all well and good until you start asking the questions that Craig is asking. But still, for ESPN, time spent watching on the app is a great thing for them.
Yeah, it sounds like a real cool way to get all of the credit for all of the money that these other networks spent and their streaming time that you'll be watching Peacock for Big Ten football. They still also get credit for that, even though they didn't sign up the Big Ten football and you're technically on the Peacock app. And so that's, again, like Bob Thompson pointed out, this is all just preliminary talk, basically. This isn't like this is happening, but those are the types of questions that make this seem like it's a lot more complicated than just simply like, we'll just be a hub for you guys. It's like, well, yeah, but you get all of the benefits and very little of the downside to this. You get everything and give out almost nothing except for like, well, we'll just be this free place for you all. And I don't think people are that stupid.
Yeah, we want to help you out because you're going to have to, even if you click on Peacock, you're going to have to subscribe to it.
Yeah.
To watch the game anyway. So people will come and they'll be like, oh, well, I got to watch this game. I better subscribe to Peacock, and then they'll do it. So then they're helping everybody else out.
Yeah, but they're
a commune.
Yeah, they're a commune, and like you don't have to have Peacock to go watch Peacock on the ESPN app because you got the ESPN streaming that has Peacock on there to watch Big Ten football.
Well,
right?
I think what it would do was, so what it would be like is you would go into the ESPN app, you would scroll to that game that would be on Peacock. It would then take you out of the ESPN app and then into Peacock. Okay. So you'd have to have it. That would be the benefit. Are you okay?
Yeah.
That's the thing, is you have to have subscriptions for all these things. The way it says it is, or the way I assumed would be like you wouldn't have to pay for all of the different streaming services to watch these things. That would be the point of it, just besides the ease of use.
I think for sports in particular, though, like Peacock, Paramount Plus, or those will have an ad-supported tier that's free. So they would take people to that and then hope that, like, maybe, hey, I'm going to stay on this app. Oh, that Tulsa King looks good.
Yeah,
I'll do that. So then you wind up getting that deal. So number 1,
We're not there yet because the other one just got me all freaked out.
Yeah. Stamps a line as the home of college football. And really, if they get it the way, the home of everything. But if you just starting out for college football, if you can be like, look, just go to the ESPN app and you'll find every college football game.
They're attached to everything. And they really have been, but Fox now and CBS, even though they've been involved in college football, have, kind of gotten some turf. They've been able to gain some turf with the Big Ten deal and with a few things that are going on. It's obvious it could be as much PR as anything else, just so everyone goes there. Like Bob Thompson, a lot of things have to be ironed out, including can they convince everybody to do this in the first place who aren't even a part of their own companies?
Right. I mean, I just don't know why. I mean, if the Pac-12's on Amazon, I don't need the ESPN app to send me, but it would be nice if it flipped me to where I could easily get out of that and basically hit previous channel like I would on cable, and it would bounce me from the Peacock app watching Notre Dame to the Amazon app watching USC for a year or whatever. But that all sounds easier than it probably would be to pull off, and that's why this is very much a trial balloon floated out there and not something that's right around the corner. But it is interesting. If they could pull this off, that would be fascinating, and it would be great on the surface for sports fans.
But it does open you up to creating a monopoly.
Yes.
Which is what a quick story. When I worked at Borders Bookstore, if we'd have a book, we would order it on Amazon for people. And guess what doesn't exist anymore? Borders.
Yeah. No, that's a great point. Kind of like almost, what's the name of the video chain that had the movies? There's one left in the world. Blockbuster. All right. Thank you, all of you. By the way,